access the recording afterwards. You might hear me grow quiet every now and then during the session. It's just when I take a sip of water. So don't be concerned about that. Okay, so everybody, you are most welcome to our first session on crime intelligence. I'm super excited to be hosting the session today as your lecturer, and also super excited that we have so many of you in the session today. So for those of you who did not attend the briefing session, my name is Bernadine Benson, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Police Practice. We are in the College of Law. I also need to show you a picture of my family. There, that's me on the left. And this is my family. You will see I'm officially the shortest in the family. And my husband on the left. We've been married for 23 years. And this is Bradley. He is 21 and Michaela is 18. I have been with UNISA since 2007. And before that, I was a police official for 19 awesome years. I can do what I do today because of my practical experience in the South African Police Service, which spans basic training, flying squad work. I worked at the Endangered Species Protection Unit as a detective and eventually the commander. And I left in 2007 when I resigned and I joined UNISA. I hold a BTEC policing degree, cum laude, an MTech policing degree, cum laude, and I hold a DLIT et Fil in police science. That's my PhD. I am responsible for 4 modules, FOR1502, 2607, 2608, and 5907. So this is why it's very important that when you contact me, you explain to me which module you are contacting about. I'm also responsible for 13 master students and 4 PhD students. So why am I telling you this? I'm highlighting this to you that number one, I am a human being. I'm very much human. I sit like you. I breathe like you. I have challenges like all of you. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a makoti. I am a sister. I am a granddaughter. So it's important that you know that I also have a private life. Please, when you do contact me, you can contact me anytime, office hours, Mondays to Fridays from 8 until 4 in the afternoon. So please do also respect my privacy with my family. Okay, so I want to know if you guys have visited the module site yet. Have you made the effort to go onto the module site and to actually go and look at what's going on there? Just by a show of a thumbs up or something. How many of you on this platform have managed to go and visit the module site? Okay, I see 1. I see 2. Okay. Now, guys, the module site, the new module site has its moments. It's like a very difficult mother-in-law sometimes. She has her moments, but after all, okay. Bukelwa, I see you have a question. You can ask it if it's a burning question. You may ask it. Unmute yourself. Unless you put your hand up. Yes, Maria?
Good morning. Good day, Prof. Is it me alone? I don't think it's my volume, but I can hear you very well.
Let me just hear by anybody else, everybody else. Are you all able to hear me clearly? One of our participants is unable to hear me very clearly. You can even in the chat box say clearly or just a thumbs up. Okay, Bukelwa, I've had 3 thumbs up, so I think it's possibly your volume. So just check your volume. It might be just set down a little bit. Okay, so the new module site, yes, Moodle has had its challenges, but I really want to encourage you, and there's a link to the new module site. On the landing page, you are going to find this. It is a totally revised, repackaged module site. And it's important that you get onto the site, that you engage with the site, because you will see here on the left-hand side, if I can just get to the left-hand side, you see here on the left-hand side by participants. If you complain, oh dear, that shouldn't have happened. Let me just go back. If you complain about things on the module site, you can't get this, or you can't get that, or you say that there was any challenge with your engagement with a module site, that is the first place I'm going to go and look to see to what extent you have been active on the module site, because one cannot complain about something if one does not engage with that something. You will also see on the right-hand side of the page, there's quick mail. So the emails I'm sending you that you get come from this system. So this is what I use to communicate with all of you in one shot with. And that's another reason why you must make sure that your My Life emails are working so that you get your emails. If you scroll down the left side of the page of the module site, you're going to find your assessments here. Now, assessment 1, the majority of you have done this, and assessment 2, some of you have started doing this. And assessment 3. Assessment 2 is not yet open. It's not a train smash, but it should be open before the end of the week. I should launch it before the end of the week. What I am going to do after this session today, I'm going to do a quick briefing on the requirements for assessment 2, so that those students who are keen to do well in assignment 2 can then look at those or listen to the recording and then better understand what it is that they have to do. Assessment 3 is there, and assessment 4 will also be opening probably pretty soon. But you will get an email from that, so monitor your emails, please. Okay, if you've gone onto the module site, you would have seen these lessons. I really want to encourage you to go through the lessons, work through the lessons. There are forums, take part in the forums. All of this helps you to not feel so alone when you study, when you're going through the learning material. Read what other students have said. You will see that lesson 1, 2, and 3 are there. And lesson 4 and 5 will open shortly. But let's get to today's session. Let us consider what intelligence is. There's a link in the module site. If you access the link via the module site, this is a YouTube video. The university will get the bill for the data you use. Okay, so I really want to urge you to go look at this video. And the narrator gives a very practical and insightful overview of what intelligence is and the different types of intelligence. Please make the effort. I don't think it's a very long video. Go and watch the video. I watch it every now and then because it helps me to crystallize what it is that I am dealing with. Okay, why does one need intelligence? Consider the following image. We all know what these are. Yep, they're icebergs. And they are usually found in the Antarctic or Greenland or at other very cold climates in the North and South Poles. But when you look at the surface of the water, what do you see? Do you think you are seeing the entire iceberg? The answer is no. There's a saying that says something is usually the tip of the iceberg. That means what we are seeing is only a small portion of what is actually going on. I think the civil unrest last year was the tip of the iceberg. I think the upcoming national shutdown that we are facing soon is the tip of the iceberg. I think the tavern killings we've been seeing are tips of icebergs that need to be investigated. And you will notice that the biggest part of the iceberg is under the water. So the biggest part of the problem or the crime category is hidden, and we need to find that. Now, what does this have to do with intelligence? Well, simply, if we do not have a comprehensive understanding of a problem, the solution we design to address the problem will not be effective. This means we have to have intelligence. We have to have additional information. We need insight into and about something or someone to effectively understand the problem. That's what comprehensive means. It means almost like a 360-degree understanding of a problem so that we can effectively address and solve the problem. Now, in layman's terms, crime intelligence is the end product of confirmed crime information. The emphasis here lies on the term confirmed. Confirmed means that the information has been verified from different and independent sources as being factual or accurate. The process to turn this information into intelligence or crime information into crime intelligence is called the criminal intelligence process. Let us consider the image. Information versus crime information and intelligence versus crime intelligence. While there is a difference, and it's important to be aware of differences, what I've been finding, not everybody that writes about intelligence or crime intelligence or information or crime information makes that differentiation. So basically, we do not only use intelligence to investigate crimes. Sometimes companies gather information on people and they turn it into intelligence so that they have a better picture of the person they are dealing with. For example, background checks for security clearance is but one example of where intelligence is gathered on a person. You may also recall the biblical story of Gideon and the spies who were sent into Canaan to scout out the people of the land. This was gathering of information, which was confirmed by various sources and turned into intelligence. On the other hand, when dealing with a criminal, then one usually talks about crime information. This is information on crime, patterns, trends, informers, reports, etc. This information is then processed and turned into crime intelligence. So that's basically the gist of the difference. But I want to emphasize that practitioners do not always adhere to these academic differences when they present and when they talk. So it would seem that in practice, the separation is not really made. Intelligence may also mean crime intelligence and vice versa. And crime information may also mean information and vice versa. Okay, so we mentioned the crime intelligence process. The crime intelligence process, or cycle, as it is cyclical, has 5 distinct steps. These steps are collection. That's when we collect, we bring together. Collation, this is when we're sorting. Analysis, this is when we are processing and passing it through different computer programs. Dissemination and operationalization, they usually go together. And feedback, because at the end of the day, you want to know, is that which was produced helpful or not? So operationalization is technically not a step, but it is a natural outflow from dissemination. So To disseminate means we share the results with those who may have them. We will deal with each of these steps in study unit 2. Okay, in your study unit, in your study guide, we give you an example of mixing two colors of paint, blue and yellow. I want to add to this analogy. So if I pour these two colors together and I stand and watch, and I just pour them together into a bucket, what's going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. But if I were to take a stick and I begin to stir, something begins to happen. If I stir for 5 seconds, it's going to produce a result. If I stir for 10 seconds, it will produce another result. If I stir for a half an hour using my stick, I will get a totally different result with the addition of pieces of stick which are now polluting my paint. I don't think this was intended. I don't really want pieces of stick in my paint. So the analogy is intended to illustrate what goes in is what comes out. If I could use good quality paint and I ask a person who is qualified to mix the paint to do the job, I will get a quality result most of the time. Sometimes this also fails, but it's usually rectified the second time. And there's a lesson in this too. But now back to the paint mixer. The person who mixes the paint must be trained to work with paint and the machines that mix the paint. A stick is the wrong implement with which to mix the paint. Having said that, intelligence analysts are trained to process crime information or information into an intelligence product. It's not something that one should attempt without training. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the wrong color of paint with pieces of stick in your paint. Okay, we will chat a bit more about the basic analysis a bit later in this study unit. Now, in this study guide, in forensic crime intelligence, we will be dealing with 3 different types of crime intelligence. So we will talk about strategic intelligence, tactical intelligence, and operational intelligence. It's important to know that while in the diagram you are seeing, they are each in a little bubble. That is not how it works in practice. In practice, these types of intelligence often overlap and may even be very closely related. But what's important to remember is you cannot put each of them into a box and keep them there. They will overlap and sometimes totally intersect with one another. And at other times, they are just what they intend to be: pure strategic intelligence, pure tactical intelligence, or pure operational intelligence. Imagine that you are an investor and you want to invest money in South Africa. But you need to find out about a good geographic location where there is going to be a good place for you to build your factory, because you don't want people to burn your factory down. You want there to be good routes to for your workers. So now you need to find crime stats for the area, transport routes for your workers, potential unrest in the area, the urban layout, electricity and water supply, but to name a few things that you need. For this type of decision, you will need strategic intelligence. This means you're going to need a bird's eye view of the situation. So strategic intelligence is a long-term predictive type of intelligence, and it always looks back to what happened historically, and not just last year, 5, 10 years often, in order to make a projection going forward. Now, you might have heard of people called actuaries. They work in the financial field. These people work with strategic intelligence. They work with money markets. They work with investments. They work with algorithms looking at certain portfolios and investments on the stock markets, and then they will look back and then they will give their clients advice to say, buy these shares, sell these shares, obtain those shares. That is all strategic intelligence. So nothing to do with crime. Now, military agencies and the South African Police Service also make use of strategic intelligence. In the SAPS, this is referred to as intelligence supportive deployment. When the police do this, they look back what happened in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years sometimes. And then they try to project what is going to happen in the future. And from that projection, they make their plans. They do recruitment, they do budgeting, they do annual plans and the like. So strategic intelligence is a very high level of intelligence, used primarily at senior management level. This type of intelligence impacts on policy decisions and sometimes even legislation. In the South African Police Service, strategic crime intelligence gives management up-to-date data on current and emerging trends, changing crime patterns, emergency threats to public safety and security, so that they can plan going forward. Strategic intelligence comes in various forms. These may include trend or statistical analysis, risk or threat assessments, docket and incident analysis, market profiles, vulnerability assessments, but to name a few. Primarily, the goal of strategic intelligence is either to stop criminals from perpetrating something, in other words, to prevent them from doing something before they get the opportunity to do it, or to deter the commission of a crime. In other words, to detect and then arrest. We are not talking about street level thugs here. What we are talking about here are syndicates and criminal organizations. This might even be to address drug mules at our international ports of entry. It might even be, you might even use strategic intelligence to address human trafficking at our ports of entry, but it will never be small focused. It will always be big focused. I'm sure that you recognize these board games. On the right is chess, and on the left we have Hlaba Laba. It's a Zulu board game. There's a link there if you want to go and click on the link later and see how they play these games. But if you ask yourself, what do these games have in common? They focus on tactics, on tactical moves, how to outwit your player, your opponent. So sometimes you will prevent another person from doing something like taking a stone or a marble or even a chess piece. And sometimes you cannot prevent this immediately, but you can counter with another move to prevent further and greater losses. Now, how does this relate to crime intelligence? Well, it speaks to our second type of crime intelligence, namely tactical crime intelligence. Tactical crime intelligence is focused on counteracting an immediate threat, and it is usually focused on a specific crime or criminal activity or a transgression in like a corporate environment of something which is not a criminal act necessarily. This type of intelligence assists to address immediate crime threats and a specific target. It focuses on the who and the how. So who is involved, who is the person, who is the target, and how are they doing what they are doing? In other words, the MO. The focus of this type of crime intelligence is to be able to investigate the activities of the individual person or the group of persons so that you can arrest them and get evidence against them for use in your criminal trial or your disciplinary hearing so that they can be prosecuted. So tactical crime intelligence, I want to again say, focuses on the who is involved, look at my target on the right, and how are they getting their money across the borders? What is their MO? What are the methods that they are using? Now, let's pause here quickly with tactical crime intelligence. There are two types of tactical crime intelligence. The first one is proactive, and the second one is reactive. So proactive means we are doing something, putting measures in place to prevent something from happening. So you will all remember the horrible days of COVID when we all had to wear face masks and do the social distancing and everything. So we were being proactive to help prevent the spread of COVID further. Reactive, on the other side, this usually means that something has already happened and we are acting after the fact. So a good example is when a house burns down, the firefighters will rush to the scene to douse the fire. Thus, they are reacting to the immediate threat of the fire, reaction to something that has already happened. But in doing that, they are also preventing, being proactive in the spread of the fire to other houses. So while proactive crime intelligence prevents something from happening, reactive reacts to something that has already happened and prevents further similar incidents from happening. Here's a generic description of what such a plan might look like when we gather tactical intelligence so that we can investigate a docket. So we will do a crime threat analysis. We will profile what we have to do, and then we will do a SWOT analysis. We will obtain the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We will work out a strategy, and then we will see, okay, what is the strategy we need to use in order to address our let's say our syndicate working in a specific geographical area. We say, okay, we need to use undercover operations, we need to use surveillance. We do these things, we build a case docket to go to court in order to take the person, the criminal's assets. So that is basically how you approach such an investigation. Okay, you may recall the recent shootout between the police and the CIT robbers in Rosettenville. This is an example of where proactive tactical crime intelligence was operationalized. So the reactions unit got the information before the time, and they went to arrest the suspects while they were planning a CIT robbery. Now, there are two key elements of proactive crime intelligence that we look at. Who is involved? Can you see the suspect at the back there? And how is the crime being perpetrated? Because the primary intention here is to prevent the incident from happening, and then to arrest and prosecute. Reactive tactical crime intelligence, for example, An informer calls you and he tells you that the cat burglar who stole money from the ABC Bank is hiding out at a specific address in Pinetown. He has the firearm he used in the robbery, as well as some of the cash on the premises. So you cannot prevent him from robbing ABC Bank. But you can go do surveillance on the premises to confirm that the person is there and to determine who else is at the house. Remember, we need to confirm from various sources the accuracy of the information that you're getting. Based on this, we can now plan our assault of the house, when will be the right time to do so, and to arrest the suspect and to steal the goods. You are thereby solving the criminal case, mindful though that you must still go to court, but you're also preventing this criminal from perpetrating further crimes. So there's a link there too to 10 CIT suspects who were arrested in Carltonville. So they had already perpetrated crimes, but they were arrested afterwards, and this arrest helps them to prevent further such incidents. Crime scenes are an incredibly good source of evidence. This evidence can help steer your investigation into a direction when other sources of information or intelligence have dried up. So never delay getting to your crime scene, because your crime scene can provide you with reactive tactical crime intelligence that you can use to follow up with in terms of your investigation. You may recall there was also very recently a media report of a CIT robber who is currently in jail, whose fingerprints linked him to a scene of 22 years ago, and he's now been sentenced an additional, I don't know how many years, because of this linkage that was done. The last type of crime intelligence is that of operational crime intelligence. Now, this type of crime intelligence focuses on the following: where and when should the operational staff be deployed? And what is the focus of the deployment? So you don't see anything there about who and how. Where, geographically, when, time, and the focus. Are we looking at drug mules? Are we looking at human traffickers? Are we looking at CIT robbers? That's what operational crime intelligence is about. So similar to tactical intelligence in that there are areas of overlap, but the primary focus here is to operationalize your staff or the local police, visible policing members, and other resources to address a specific crime threat or a pattern or a series of events. It's not focused on an individual person or group, but rather on addressing the what. So it might be that at a certain intersection in Pretoria Central, there are these smash and grab robberies. So they will focus, and it's on specific days of the week and times of the day. And when we operationalize, we will develop intelligence so that we can focus on the what and deploy our staff so that we can address the threat in that area. Okay, so that is study unit 1. I'm now going to pause and I'm going to wait for questions. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand, and then I will be able to call on you and we can take the questions one by one. If you do not feel on the platform, just like you can in the chat also write up what it is that you want to ask. Are there really no questions? Okay, let me ask then. When you consider how you viewed crime intelligence and intelligence before the class, do you now have a better understanding or a clearer understanding of what intelligence or crime intelligence is in contrast to what information is? You can just use a thumbs up if you want to react. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. 3 reactions. Thank you. Then, do you now have a clearer understanding of the 3 different types of intelligence? Strategic intelligence as the top bird's view of a situation from a very high level. Tactical crime intelligence as focusing on the who and the how they're perpetrating their crimes, going into pro and reactive, and operational intelligence, where, when, and what. Is it clearer now? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I emphasize these concepts because if you have a limited understanding of what strategic, operational, or tactical crime intelligence is, you will not be able to clearly understand study units 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have to understand each of these types of intelligence as an entity that is not just an entity, but it sometimes overlaps with each other, so that if I give you a case study or a scenario, you can recognize out of the information, okay, this is strategic intelligence, or this is proactive tactical crime intelligence, or this is operational crime intelligence. That is why it's important that you understand these 3 themes properly. I'm going to hang around a little bit more. There might be 1 or 2 questions still coming. Okay, I see there are no more questions coming. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the recording, but please don't leave the platform because I want to share with you one of the requirements for assessment 2. I will be placing this recording also on the module site. It was unplanned, but I thought, well, seeing as we have a bit of time, I might as well share this with you so that you have a better understanding of what to expect in a part of assessment 2. So let me just stop this recording.